John, they got to give this man Coach of the Year.
I would think so. I don't know that there's anyone that's even come close to the job that JB has done with this team from where they were last year to where they are now.
Back to the playoffs, back to work, playoff spot security. Joins us this morning, JB Bickerstaff. Good morning.
Good morning, fellas. How we doing?
We're doing great.
Great. We're waking up with a playoff basketball team.
That's awesome. How about that?
Let me ask you this to start off, because you start the season with a team that won 14 games last year. And I know you weren't a part of it, and the message last year, that has nothing to do with you. But for a lot of these guys, just learning to win was a thing. And now all of a sudden, what was the message at the beginning of the season to this young team versus the message to them now?
Well, you know what's funny is it didn't change. Our thought process was just focus on whatever's right in front of you and how we can compete in every single moment and how we can win every single battle and pay attention to all the details. And you know, we thought that would lead to success with the amount of talent that we had. Obviously, you know, we didn't know what to expect and how far it would go, but we knew that we would get better that way. And then, you know, learning how to win comes down a lot of times to fourth quarter basketball. And we had to learn how to play fourth quarter basketball. And we saw it kind of early that we were going to be in games, but we knew we needed to figure that out. And then, you know, as we kind of grew in our consistency and figured each other out, you know, and then we learned how to win and play fourth quarter basketball. So stay attached to the moment and stay attached to the details. And we thought we always had a chance.
I don't know if you can answer this honestly or not, but are you at all surprised in looking at this team to start the season and the way that it started with where you guys are now?
I mean, we took a jump. I'll say that. You know, like when you sat back and watched the film, and then, like I said, even early in the season, you know, we had some games against Boston. We had games against Indiana where we had a fourth quarter lead and then ended up losing the lead in the fourth quarter and losing the game. So, you know, it kind of opened our eyes as a coaching staff that we could put ourselves in position. Now we needed to figure out how do we close. And I think that's the one thing that we learned how to do, and a little bit more quickly probably than normally happens. But we learned how to close games. We learned how important our defense was in the fourth quarter, how we can get stops on demand, and then offensively where we needed to go with the basketball and our sets in order to put ourselves in that position.
How quickly it's happened, I think, is what's caught everybody off guard. You guys could end up with a 30-plus win improvement year over year. Only 5 teams have done it, and you guys didn't add Tim Duncan or Kevin Garnett this offseason. When we tell the story of this team, what should we focus on why this turnaround has happened this way?
I mean, the honest commitment to one another. I'll say that. You know, our guys' willingness, you know, to be different. You know, I think that's one of the things that stands out is like we're not your typical NBA team that just runs around jacking threes. You know, we're a team that really decided to get it in the mud and committed to that. Like, we're a physical team. You know, I mean, we're a defensive-minded team. And that's not easy to do, especially for young guys, right, a lot of guys who haven't made their second contract or whatever it may be. You know, those things a lot of times don't show up in stat sheets, which, you know, affect contracts in young people's minds. So our guys bought into being able to do the dirty things to make us different, you know what I mean, like physical basketball, you know, sometimes confrontational basketball, but like our guys do it every single night, and that makes us different and makes us hard to deal with.
You mentioned confrontation. I'll ask the beef stew question. How do you harness that mentality without it boiling over? Because the stakes only get higher, and we want to see this guy, and I'm sure you do too, playing in those playoff games and not getting kicked out.
Yeah, he will, and I think it's a process for us all. It's a process for him to play with that passion, you know, to be the guy that protects his teammates and looks out for his guys. But it means so much to us. You know, he's an elite defender. You know, offensively, he's a great playmaker as well. And he just plays with that spirit that uplifts everybody else. So we need him on the floor. And I think he understands that, you know, sometimes circumstances happen And he, again, I stand by his decisions in Minnesota to look out for his teammates for what was going on. But we understand that teams are going to try to bait us, and they're going to try to get into those types of things so that our best players can't be on the floor. And sometimes without backing down, you have to turn the other cheek, but understand that it's the ultimate sign of respect, right? Like if they have to go there, they know they're in trouble. So that means they respect us a ton.
I think there was a collective sigh of relief on Saturday when everybody saw Cade Cunningham take the court. How do you ramp him up to make sure that he is playing the way he was before the injury when it comes time for the playoffs?
I mean, we'll be patient, obviously. We've got 2 weeks, 1 week of games, and then the week during the play-in series to make sure that we get him where he needs to be. He's, knock on wood, he's feeling good right now. So, again, we expect him to go tonight. And then, his minutes will start to ramp up, and then we'll do more that play-in week to make sure that all of our guys are ramped up and ready to go.
Does that include Jaden Ivey? Does he need to play the next 4 to be, in a spot where you're comfortable using him in the playoffs? What would you say his status is?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're not going to rush J.I. back in any sense. It's just too important, his long-term health. So, again, he'll take his day by day, and if things work out, they work out. But we're not going to rush him and, put him in any danger of long-term things.
Any level of concern with Jalen Duren and the reported nerve issue?
I mean, again, it's one of those things day by day. I'll find out more information this morning when I get into the office. We'll see how he feels, and if he's feeling okay, he'll go tonight. But, it's one of those things that from my understanding of it right now, it's a day-by-day thing, and just see how, he continues to progress.
Talking to Pistons head coach J.B. Bickerstaff, I'm not going to ask you to put a target on your back and pick who you'd rather play, Knicks or Pacers. But what do you have thoughts on either of those teams as potential first-round opponents?
Yeah, I mean, they're both really good teams. They're both different, the way they play stylistically is different. Indiana, likes to play a lot faster. They've got, a ton of depth, and balance throughout their roster. The Knicks, are also a very good team, a little bit more slow paced, a little bit more rough and rugged in the trenches, defensive minded, obviously with Brunson and Towns still have offensive threats, but look, we're accepting any challenge, and that's what our guys have done all year. We're going to play these last games out here, try to get as high a seed as we possibly can, and let the chips fall where they may.
What is the approach for these final 4 games? You already talked about, ramping Cade back up, and you mentioned Ivy. If he's good to go, that's a different decision you guys got to make. But what's the approach for these final 4 games as you do prepare for a playoff seed?
I mean, we want to play well. We want to go into the playoffs, confident, understanding what we're trying to do, collectively, individually, because it's one of those things, like once you get to the playoffs, it's hard to just say, okay, now we're going to turn it on after, you mess around for the last, week or so. So our aim is to go out, try to play as well as we possibly can. We've got some great games in front of us. We got some great challenges, opportunity tonight, obviously with the Kings, but the Knicks and the Bucks, who we could see in the playoffs and who we're competing with for a spot. So, we got some challenges, but we want to be playing our best going into the to playoffs, and that's our aim.
What do you make of your case for Coach of the Year?
I don't do that. I'll let you guys make that case. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do just that,
Well, we'll
JB.
champion as much as we can.
No, I appreciate that.
Pistons head coach J.B. Bickerstaff, we appreciate some of your
Thanks,
time.
JB.
Good luck in the playoffs.
All right, thank you, guys. You guys take care.
It's 97.1.